Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu has ordered the construction of 800 Jewish houses in the West Bank. The project has been given a go-ahead during the final days of the Donald Trump administration, the United States of America. The move comes days before U.S. President-elect Joe Biden is set to be inaugurated on the 20th of January. Netanyahu's office announced that about 800 homes would be built in the settlements, but no starting date has been specified as of now. Palestinians have condemned the construction, calling it illegal.
ما يقوم به رئيس حكومة الاحتلال نتنياهو في سياق محاولة تثبيت الوقائع على الأرض والعطاءات الاستيطانية الاستعمارية غير الشرعية وغير القانونية، وإعلانه اليوم عن هذه 800 وحدة استيطانية استعمارية يشكل مزيد من تصعيد العدوان والإجرام ضد الشعب الفلسطيني. نحن نعتبر كل الاستيطان الاستعماري غير الشرعي وغير القانوني هو يحاول استباق الوقت واستغلال هذا الوقت بعد الانتخابات الأمريكية وقبل أن يتم تسليم الإدارة الجديدة في سياق محاولته لفرض هذه الوقائع.
Moving ahead with the project could help shore up support for Netanyahu from settlers. The Trump administration has backed Israel to build settlements in West Bank by abandoning a long-held position that they break international law.
הבנייה והאחריות לבנות את הארץ שלנו, בדיוק כמו האחריות על הביטחון ועל הכלכלה, היא של הממשלה שלנו. יש דיאלוגים חשובים ממדינות רבות, כמובן ארצות הברית שהיא ידידה חשובה של ישראל, וישראל היא גם ידידה חשובה של ארצות הברית. זה צריך להשאיר לראש הממשלה ולהשאיר לנשיא ארצות הברית. אזרחי ישראל מצפים שיתנו להם לחיות ולבנות ולהתפתח בצורה טבעית וברורה, והאחריות היא על ממשלת ישראל לעשות את זה. זה לא עניין של מדינות אחרות.
Donald Trump grew closer to Israeli leaders and angered Palestinians by recognizing contested Jerusalem as Israel's capital and then moving the U.S. embassy there. Most countries view Israeli settlements as violation of international law. Israel disputes this view by citing historical, political and biblical links to the West Bank. Joining us on this broadcast now is international human rights lawyer and political analyst Arsen Ostrovsky, and he's joining us from Tel Aviv. Arsen, thank you so much for joining us. Welcome to WION. Now, there are many facets to this, many key players as far as Israel-Palestinian conflict is concerned. But first, let's talk about how the change of guard in the United States might have influenced this decision by Netanyahu. Now, we know that Donald Trump backed Netanyahu, his plans to build more homes. Like we just mentioned, he moved the U.S. consulate to Jerusalem as well. But Biden has been against this. In fact, in 2010, Biden, when it was revealed that Netanyahu plans to build a settlement in the West Bank area, Biden condemned the decision as undermining U.S.-Israeli trust. So Biden is against this. How has the change of guard in U.S. influenced this decision?
Look, first of all, I should say that one important aspect that I think was omitted from perhaps from your introduction is that in addition to the 800 or so homes that Israel announced that it would be constructing in Judea and Samaria, the West Bank, was also an announcement that Israel would be permitting the construction of basically an equal amount of Palestinian homes in the Area C of the West Bank. So I think that is something that's very, very crucial to underscore as well, that it wasn't just Jewish homes or Israeli homes, but it was also Palestinian homes in the Area C construction, in the Area C that will announce permitted for construction, and that's a key point to underscore. Look, in reference perhaps to the timing, of course, it's hard to overstate the fact that the new Biden administration is taking hold in about 10 days. And also Israel is in the middle of an election campaign on March 23rd as well. Netanyahu obviously trying to shore up his base within right-wing voters. But look, at the end of the day, I think it's been the consistent position of not just Netanyahu's Likud, but also the Israeli government, that this is territory that not only Israel has a legal and historical entitlement to, but also one that will be part of any ultimate peace deal with the Palestinians. How it affects Israel and the U.S. going forward will remain to be seen. It's not, so I don't think it's any doubt that Israel will not enjoy the same level of support it has enjoyed under the Trump administration as it will with Biden. Biden is a friend, but no doubt has previously, including in his time, not only as senator, but also as vice president, expressed concern with respect to the settlements.
Right. That's as far as Israel-US relations are concerned, but Israel is also heading into elections. Does Netanyahu also have an eye on the elections? Is this move aimed at drumming up support ahead of the polls?
No doubt. I mean, Israel is an election campaign. Israel is, going into the fourth election in the last 2 years. So Netanyahu are claiming to support building in Judea and Samaria. It's not a new policy. It is one that he's been, the Likud party has been a consistent advocator of. So this is not a huge surprise in that sense. But we do have to look at this through the spectrum of Israel's election campaign. But also, I think important, as you underscored in your introduction, that the fact that Israel announced the building of these units is the fact that there is no exact time frame. It's just an announcement at this stage, but this is a process that takes a lot of time, normally many years. And throughout his term as Prime Minister, Netanyahu is actually, on average, probably the Prime Minister has built the least in the settlement. So that's something also to underscore.
Right. What about the Palestinians? They are a key stakeholder as far as the West Bank is concerned as well. They have obviously called this announcement and the plan to build more homes as illegal. But how strong is the Palestinian cause now? Because many Gulf nations, including the UAE, Bahrain, Sudan, have all normalized ties with Israel.
Look, it's a good question. Look, honestly, I think as long as the Palestinians continue to pay hundreds of millions of dollars in salaries to terrorists under the pay-to-slay policy, they're really no position to be lecturing Israel or anyone for that matter on the state of international law. But onto your bigger point as to the Palestinian position in the region in general, I think it has certainly been minimized with respect to the Abraham Accords and Israel's increasing normalization with Arab countries and the Gulf countries. We saw Morocco just a few weeks ago as well. And I think those countries have they've said also that enough is enough to Palestinian intransigence and rejectionism, that they will not be vetoed with respect to peace and normalization with Israel. So I think that's something important to underscore, that the Palestinian case has been removed from the top of the agenda for the Arab world. As to where it will be placed moving forward once the new Biden administration takes hold will remain to be seen. But the ball, I think, is squarely in that regard in the Palestinian court, whether they want to come to the table, whether they want to negotiate and be a partner for peace, or whether they continue to stay on the sidelines.
Arsen Ostrovsky, thank you so much for joining us and getting us all the details on this big developing story.